You're now live on YouTube.
And it is 7 p.m. All right, we'll get going. Welcome, everybody, to our city council meeting. It is December 1st, 2020 at 7 p.m. We have a full council. Of course, we're by Zoom. And those of you that are live on YouTube, we welcome you as also. Until this is any further down the road, we're going to be relegated to doing this. So hopefully we can have a good council meeting and get a lot accomplished. We'd like to begin with a pledge of allegiance. Is there anyone that would be willing to lead us in that pledge?
I can do it, Mayor.
All right, thank you.
Please stand. Please repeat the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'd also like to begin with an invocation or an inspirational thought. Is there anyone willing to do that for us?
Mayor, I'll do that if you want me to.
All right. Thank you, Norm. Appreciate it.
Our kind Heavenly Father, we come before thee this night and thank you for the opportunity we have to serve the residents of Santaquin and discuss the city's business. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to work and progress the city forward. We ask thy spirit to be with us, that with the council and mayor, that they can make the proper decisions and have thy spirit with them. We're grateful for all of thy many blessings upon us and ask thee to bless all of our residents at this time, as this Christmas season. They may have the things that they need and be provided for, and that we may know how we can help them in any way. We thank thee for all that we have, and we say this in the name of thy son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Norm. All right. Are there any declarations of any conflict of interest with any agenda item tonight? Okay. Our consent agenda tonight have the minutes of our November 17th, 2020 council work session minutes. Minutes of our November 17th, 2020 council regular meeting minutes. Has the council had an opportunity to read those? And if you have, are there any additions or corrections? No takers? All right. We also have on the consent agenda the bills on December 1st, 2020 of $108,793.06. Any questions or concerns with the bills? None? All right. I look for a motion on the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Councilman Miller. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, Mayor.
We have a second by Councilman Meekum. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Say nay. Okay. All right. Public forum. Aaron, do we have anything?
Yes, we do. We have, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we have, let me check public comment. We have about 5 comments. I'm going to go through and read them.
Are they longer than 5 minutes?
I don't think so. Wait, like total?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
All right, go for it.
Okay, yeah. So the first one is from Chelsea. I just have a first name. She says, hello, I'm a concerned citizen, also employee of the city. I like to voice my concerns with multiple others who have serious concerns about how our recreation center is being utilized and run by John Bradley. I've been very disappointed in the city council and mayor's lack of response to employees who have worked with and left because of issues regarding his leadership. Myself and multiple other concerned citizens and employees would like to set up an official meeting to discuss these issues. We should have gotten public comments from a couple of them for this evening's council. I'm aware that issues have been privately brought to you, the city council members, for over a year, yet nothing seems to have been done to remedy the issues. Multiple employees have thus felt the only option is to leave. This concerns me very much that issues of personal or leadership can't be resolved privately with the rep center employees and the city council leadership. I'm not wish to be one of those employees, so I hope we can work together for this beautiful city and its residents that deserve better. And we have gotten with John running things, to be frank. I will remain anonymous for now. I wish for a personal response from the mayor or his assistant to this email address, as I'd like to set up a personal meeting with him without having my job being negatively affected. I am both a concerned citizen and a concerned employee. Thank you for your time. Second email, Tiffany Goff Nielsen. Hello, Mayor Hunsaker. I've been attending high fitness classes at Santaquin Rec building since moving here last summer. This has been the most beneficial way for me to make new friends and make friends in a new place. There is a wonderful sense of community with a large group of ladies who attend, and we have this great facility that we have been able to use. Melanie Clark has been an amazing instructor there who has really tried to make things work well for moms with little kids at home who would like to be able to work out. She found helpers to work in a child care upstairs while us moms work for about an hour downstairs. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning. When COVID hit, that was all canceled, which we understood. We've been anxiously waiting for the day we can bring our kiddos back to child care and work out again. Currently only have 8 of us due to COVID and no child care. John at the rec center had a meeting on Tuesday with Melanie Clark. From my understanding, he told her they have no plans to ever bring child care back. She is currently looking for a different building to teach in Santaquin or even Payson, because they were told they would find someone else to replace her if she didn't want to do it their way. I'm really saddened by this, as I know a large group of women, I'd say 30-ish, are as well. I'm not sure where John has based this decision, but I would love to keep our place there for our classes and childcare. A lot of us moms really rely on that and has brought us together in this town. If there's anything you can do about this, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. And this is me being concerned today. I am now hearing John is trying to hire other high fitness instructors after he got rid of a large group, and he's also telling me he will bring someone in to start childcare again, which he told us we could not do anymore, so we had to go elsewhere. I just feel like the rec center should be a place to build community and should not be somewhere where young mothers are not invited to work out. If you wanted to do high fitness classes back again, you should reach out Melanie and Emily, who we got rid of to begin with. I'm frustrated he is tearing apart the great sense of community we had when going to the rec center, and specifically told Emily, who is his employee, that is just an office building, not a rec center. That is not fair to us. Our cute town deserves to use this building, which was working great for us in our childcare. I am just wanting this to be addressed before more hires are made without thinking of those who pushed out in the summer. I would love to meet with the council or the mayor or anyone else to discuss what is happening, and will gladly ask the other women to join in the meeting with them as well. I just really want to feel like the city is working together, build community, and bring people together and not chase us off. Thanks. Another, Tiffany Thomas, to whom it may concern. I am coming to you to voice some concerns I'm having with how the rec center has been handling things in the last year. I've been heavily involved in the fitness classes that were being held at the rec building, specifically high fitness. I really enjoyed these classes, and I felt like it brought a lot of women together and felt like a sense of community in this town. My concern is specifically with John Bradley, and he has handled and treated us women in the class, and at times telling us these classes to turn down music, give us false information, being told that a rec center wasn't meant for a rec center. It was made for just an office building, and then in the end, having it come down to those instructors quitting because of more mistreatment. I feel this is something that needs to be looked into more with John and how he's running things, and also is causing concerns within the recreation aspect of the youth sports in Santaquin as well. I love Santaquin and I love what it is all about. High fitness was a way for women in the community to come together and build friendships and grow as a community. We're saddened by the mistreatment that has taken place, and we see this happening in our town. If you have any questions, feel free to email me back. Shay Johansson says, Dear City Council, I'd like to voice concerns I have about management of the rec center as a result of the treatment of current and former employees and customers of the rec center. For quite some time, I was a part of a dedicated group of women attending a high fitness class at the rec. We always try to be respectful and abide by the rules the rec had in place for this and other classes. We were learning together as rec center, rec customers and rec employees the best way to make this class work. This specific class brought a lot of people to the rec and was a great and new, exciting fitness class for the community. Everything was going smoothly until a certain person, John, was hired to manage things. Slowly started pushing this group out of the rack. He was implementing changes and making excuses that seemed to make it more and more difficult for this class to function. And slowly but surely it became clear he had some kind of grievance with our group. It really seemed that his presence was become more and more toxic. Longtime employees and recent employees were having disappointing conversations with this person. And eventually our group had to find an alternative place to hold our class. We understand that COVID made things difficult for everyone, but it seemed there was a major discrepancy between standards of fitness classes held at the rack. Please take this concern seriously. It's the small things that matter to United Community. Thank you for your time. Finally, Emily Johnson. Hi all, I'm not a resident of Santaquin, but I was an employee teaching a high a high class at the rec center was forced to find business elsewhere. We built up a fantastic group of moms that utilized the building and loved the amenities it had to offer, including childcare. Instead of the citizens being able to use such an awesome facility, they've had to go elsewhere. Yes, the fear of COVID is there, but a small community in Utah County, but as a small community, your people should have the right to exercise their own caution and exercise. Over the summer after turning orange, I did research into other rec centers' plans were to bring classes back after shutdown before the meeting with rec employees. Even after school was resumed and after turning green, John didn't want to give the ladies hope that there would be childcare again because of the carpet. Just seems strange that rumor says he's now trying to fill classes out of childcare before coming to his original instructors, Emily Johnson. And I think that's it.
That's it? All right. Is there any other public comment? Do you want to address any of these questions, Ben? Or can we do it on an agenda item at another meeting?
We can certainly do whatever you and the council would like us to do and move forward in any way you would like us to. Many of the restrictions are COVID related. We've never gone back to green. We are in the highest rate of transmission that Utah has yet seen. And and while many restrictions have been put in place, I don't think those restrictions have been decided by Mr. Bradley, but rather than he's been the bearer of bad news and implemented by Mr. Bradley. And
it was approved by myself and the council. I think that we were going to abide by the COVID restrictions.
That is correct.
Not John that's making these calls.
But we do appreciate the tremendous amount of work that John has been doing on modifying programs, creating unique ways to better serve the community, even during restrictions, even looking at things like our senior program, where there's a drive-through for our seniors and picking up their lunches, and the unique ways that our library has been made available to the public, and so many offerings that we have put in place. It's tough as a public servant to be on the tip of the spear, so to say, but it's challenging circumstances nevertheless, and even things like our Myron Olson Plaza. John was one of the first to volunteer to support that event going forward. So I think we certainly can and take all of these comments into consideration and look for opportunities to better serve our residents. Childcare is something that is highly desired, and we know that. Something that we certainly planned for in a new rec center that got voted down. But obviously we need to do that at the appropriate time and place.
Okay, John, would you like to address any of those questions or concerns?
You betcha. Thank you, Mayor. And I would be more than happy to put together, kind of type up this is actually something that there hasn't been high fitness classes for about 4 months. And it was a joint decision with myself and fitness instructor supervisor Amy Johnson. Is we made some recommendations at the time when that we didn't feel like we were in a position with that tiny little room to do daycare. We were really struggling. We have struggled for over a year to keep 2 adults hired. We just kept going through adults because they would only work 3 hours a week. At 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. for 3 hours a week. We just couldn't keep them hired. Our full-time staff ended up rotating, myself included, many times, would rotate up and actually help babysit so that these ladies could do their fitness classes. We have no problem with them or the instructors. And we were very, very happy with that class. We told the instructors that once COVID started, we had a limited number of spaces for participants by state requirements, health department requirements. And we said, we would love to have you come back and exercise. We'll work with you to do early morning or night, so that works with your family schedule, but we're just unable to continue to do daycare in our little building. It would have worked great in a brand new rec center. So at that point, the entire high fitness group, including instructors, decided to go to a private venue here in town, and we wished them well. Amy Johnson has been working to get a new instructor for several months, ever since July. And we actually do have an instructor that was going to start high fitness classes this very week to all the residents of Santaquin, but not offering childcare. That's been the clause with this group, is they want to have childcare. If we could hire people and we could make it all work out for 3 hours a week so that this group could meet, we could look into that. It's not fiscally responsible for us to try to do that. All the other gyms around us, they do not have childcare for many of these classes. Usually ladies work really hard to make arrangements in the morning and evening to be able to come to classes that fit their schedule. So I would be more than happy to sit down with a group of them, including some of the past instructors. They were never forced out. We told them we'd love to have them. We just would not offer daycare. So that's been the hinge on this whole point for several months. So we do have new instructors that would love to teach. They're willing to do it in the morning or in the afternoon and have people come. That was our direction moving forward, is we'll offer a program to the public, but we don't feel like we're in a position to wipe down all the little toys and do the daycare for 3 days. It's not good for COVID. It's definitely difficult fiscally for our department and our staff, but we're willing to sit back at the table and discuss it. I've never had a closed door for that discussion. When they were told that there was no daycare, they never communicated with us. And so that's been I'll just say in summary that I've supported Recreation Supervisor Amy Johnson 100% as she worked through that, and we made that decision jointly to stop offering daycare for those 3 hours. We offer about 20 other classes each week, and they do not offer daycare, and those classes go just fine. So that's kind of a quick summary. I could type something up for City Council if you'd like, Mayor.
I think we're okay. Of the current guidelines and the restrictions that are placed upon us, I think we're doing the right thing by doing this. And we're sorry that it's causing this rift, but hopefully someday we'll be past this and we can get back to normal. So any other comments on this, council? Okay, if not, let's move on. The awards. We have Volunteer of the Month. Are you going to read that, Ben, or is Penny?
I'm going to read it once I take my mute off.
Okay.
I'll restart. How's that?
Good.
So, Mayor and Council, we're honored to be able to extend the Employee of the Month award to Chris Lindquist. The mayor was able to do that yesterday. And so I'll go ahead and read the write-up here. Chris Lindquist has worked for the city for the past 22 years. That's longer than a lot of us have been alive. So that's a long time. In our fire and EMS department. He is currently the city's emergency manager and has been serving in this capacity for the past 2 years. He was made Santaquin's emergency manager, or after he was made Santaquin's emergency manager, he set out to get his Utah Emergency Management Certification. This program patterns the Certified Emergency Manager program offered by the International Association of Emergency Managers, which he is already working towards earning. Chris holds a doctorate degree in education from Western Governors University and is a full-time professor at UVU in the Emergency Services program. As a professor, he requires his students to interact with their communities and businesses in their communities to develop emergency response plans. As the emergency manager for Santaquin, Chris leads out in several efforts to help the city staff and community be prepared for emergencies. He, along with Shane Bott, started the city's CERT program in 2000, and he has been instructing the Corps ever since. He looks forward to being able to offer this program once again after COVID-19 is under control. He most recently worked with the area business leaders to provide financial support that would benefit our residents and our local businesses through the Santaquin stimulus program. He also stayed on top of the sanitation needs of the city offices buildings during this COVID pandemic. Chris and his sweetheart, Suzette, have lived in Santaquin for the past 23 years. They are the proud parents of 3 sons, Jordan, Dallin, and Ryan. He enjoys spending time with his family and doing anything outdoors, such as camping, hunting, fishing, and gardening. Emergency services and management is his passion, and we are very fortunate to have Chris provide direction and leadership in his role here at the city. Thank you, Chris, for your dedication and desire to serve the great people of our community.
And
Thank
if I
you.
can,
If you're by chance on, I thanked you last night, but thank you for your service to Santaquin City.
if I can make a correction on the write-up, he actually graduated from the Grand Canyon University versus the one that was read there, the Western.
Okay. All right. All right. We also have the Payson Santaquin Chamber of Commerce Business of the Month. Do we have any representative from them here?
We don't, Mayor, but I'm going to go ahead and read a write-up about that business.
Go for it.
So the Payson Santaquin Chamber Business of the Month for December is the Insurance Center, which is located in Payson. So here's just a write-up about that. The Insurance Center LLC is honored to be voted as December 2020 Business of the Month. Ty Jones and his team have been heavily involved in the community and have nothing but love for the people they assist. Ty Jones has been running the Payson location on historic Main Street of the Insurance Center LLC since 2010. They are an independent agency and provide insurance services for life, health, home, auto, umbrella, farm, commercial business, workers' compensation, and bonds. They represent various companies such as MetLife, Liberty Mutual, Travelers, Bear River, and auto owners, just to name a few. Their growth and success can be attributed to their integrity to help those they serve to the best of their ability. So congratulations to the Insurance Center and Ty Jones for being the December Business of the Month.
Congratulations, Ty. All right, moving on. Do we have any new building permits, businesses?
Yes, we do. Let me go ahead and share my screen so I can show you our status. So can you see the graph there?
Yes.
All right. So as of today, we are now at a total of 356 residential dwelling units. That's a combination of 281 new single-family homes and 74 new multifamily units. There still is only one new commercial space. So yeah, we still have a month left and that number will continue to grow. It's not slowing down. Certainly not with the weather because we haven't had much weather yet. But even despite that, I think developers and home builders are really taking advantage of this market and this housing demand right now. So yeah, a huge rise from what we've seen in the past 3 years. New businesses, we have one, Back Porch Grooming, owned by Lori Hone at 291 North 500 West. And this is cleaning and grooming dogs. So do you have any questions for me about building permits or business licenses?
Nope, doesn't sound like you do. Thanks, Jason, for the report. Okay, new business. Item 6, ordinance 12-01-2020, establishment of community services board.
Mayor and Council, you had extensive discussion about this during your work meeting last go around on November 17th. John Bradley is participating with us today to answer any questions. But ultimately, what this ordinance puts forth is the creation of a new community services board, and it repeals and eliminates the museum board and the recreation board, which would be rolled up into this community services board, as well as various committees such as the Arts Committee, the Orchard Days Committee, Senior Citizens Committee. All of those ad hoc committees would be part of, and events would be part of this community services board. And it would give this board a little bit more meat and be to work with on a month by month basis. We will be looking to have representation from the various boards that are currently in existence to be part of this board. But in short, it creates the Community Services Board, it repeals those other two boards, and then in our wrap text committee, it's important to note that a member of that committee was the chair of the Recreation Board and is now the chair of this this board that would be part of that committee. And the position of Parks and Recreation Director was eliminated by the city in lieu of our Community Services Director, John Bradley. And so that has been changed out as well. So this is before you for your consideration. Are there any questions? Or John, do you have anything else to share?
I'll just add that the existing committee members that I've talked to, and I haven't talked to all of them personally. I've talked to some, and I know with the museum, Annette's been talking to some. I haven't heard any concerns about this change. There's been optimistic, I think optimism with trying to streamline and make things more efficient and have, sometimes when we have a lot of boards and committees, we dig really deep to try to find things to discuss. And this way, our whole department will be discussing different things once a month. And I think it'll be easier, like Ben said, have more meat to it, the different discussions. And one of the things I just want to clarify is that there will not be getting rid of resident participation. We'll have ad hoc committees that will be informal, that can definitely be involved. And maybe we're planning an art festival or we're planning something unique. We don't have to formally meet and have the requirements that way, but we can still get a lot of residents involved. So I think it's a positive change.
Okay, any comments, questions? If not, I look for a motion on this ordinance. Turn your microphone on.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 12-01-2020, an ordinance establishing a community services board and repealing the recreation board, museum board, and modifying the RAP tax committee in an effort to consolidate and streamline the activities and efforts of said boards.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Montoya. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Mayor.
We have a second by Councilman Miller. Any further discussion on this ordinance? If not, Councilman Hathaway,
Aye.
Councilman Meekum,
Aye.
Councilmember Montoya,
Aye.
Councilmember Bowman,
Aye.
and Councilman Miller.
Aye.
Thank you. That was unanimous. Okay, moving on to resolution number 7. Item number 7, resolution 12-01-2020, a resolution approving an agreement of expiration of the Summit Ridge annexation and development agreement.
Mayor and Council, the agreement that was put into your packet has been slightly modified and updated for your consideration this evening. I'll probably have our legal counsel walk us through that. You'll notice that we have Rob Horlocker, who's joined with us, or he was joined with us. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, he's up there.
Hello, Rob.
And in short, I'll give a high-level summary of this, and then allow Brett to go through and talk about any changes. But in 2000, Santaquin City entered into a development agreement with Summit Ridge Communities. That development agreement is expiring on December 6th of this year. And there was some question as to whether a one-sided renewal would be in the best interest of the city, or if it would be a better interest of the city to allow this development agreement to expire. The most concern we had about not renewing was mitigated through an offer by the development community, and that is that Santaquin City receives an $850 payment per home for the homes constructed between the 401st home and the 2000th home that is built out in that community. And that was part of the settlement back when the development had some issues at that time, and it was the golf courses went away and all that type of thing. Anyway, long story short, that revenue stream is something that we would want to preserve as a city and a community so that we can develop the infrastructure necessary to support our community. And the development community offered to mitigate that by paying that upfront the majority of which would be in cash, and it would have about $160,000 promissory note that would be paid in an 18-month period. The benefit of letting the development agreement expire is that it is a very cumbersome and large document that is very hard to manage. And one of the concerns and the issues is, as different developers have joined into this, including the potential for commercial development, some of the restrictions of the development agreement are actually precluding and diminishing our ability to invite new businesses into our community at the south exit. We believe that allowing this development agreement to expire, since we can mitigate the potential loss of revenue by having this agreement before you tonight, allows us to invite future commercial uses within our community. And therefore, it is before you for your consideration. It is important to note that if this document does not become fully executed by Thursday at 5 p.m., we do intend to renew this agreement in a special meeting. But with that, I think everybody has worked in good faith and has had good working relationships. I say everybody, I mean Mr. Horlacher representing HD Utah 1, Salisbury Homes and Ivory Homes, who represent Utah Summit Partners, as well as other development groups who are subject to the development agreement, but were not party to some of the amendments that have taken place since. So I think this is a beneficial direction for all parties involved. Brett, do you want to walk us through any changes or the differences between the version the council received and what they're considering this evening?
Sure. Does the council have the latest version?
I'm going to share it right now.
This agreement has been around for almost 20 years now. It doesn't seem like that long, but I guess it's been quite a while. It started out as a different concept than what it has ended up. Originally, the Summit Ridge area was more or less centered around 2 golf courses, and incorporated a lot into the agreement, and anticipated that it was primarily going to be one developer that would develop the entire project. With events, I guess general events, after 2000, things slowed down a lot, and it was necessary to change some things from the developer's point of view. And so in 2006, the development agreement was amended. That first amendment basically did away with the 2 golf courses, put some other provisions in place, included some of the payments that Ben has referred to, the $850 per lot for certain lots that would be platted. It also provided for the 35-acre public facility site that was subsequently dedicated to the city. Then it was earlier this year, the agreement was amended again. And that agreement clarified some of the aspects. It also clarified that the 35 acres had been dedicated to the city, that the city had complied with the requirements for that dedication to that point in time, and outlined some of the things that needed to happen going forward as far as the relationship between the developer and the city on that site. There were also other aspects of that Second Amendment, but all in coming up to this 20-year anniversary when the agreement was set to expire. So you've had a copy of this that has had some changes to it, but I think if you really look at the changes, we're looking at what survives the agreement going forward. There are a couple of key areas that do survive. One is the connectors agreement. The connectors agreement came in with the First Amendment to the agreement in 2006. That connectors agreement provides for reimbursement to the developer for certain infrastructure costs, basically roads and bridges. That connectors agreement that was put in place with the 2006 amendment provided that it would go for 20 years from that amendment. So it was set to expire in October 24th of 2026. This agreement clarifies that, in fact, that agreement will survive the expiration of the agreement and run until October 24th of 2026. Also, there are clarifications regarding zoning. The council recently enacted an ordinance to provide I guess I'll refer to it as a default zoning for that area. This agreement clarifies that if there isn't a development agreement in place and there isn't a new development agreement or a change in zoning that's approved by the council, that the zoning is basically going to be, or development will be governed by that recent change, where you have residential going with the R10 zone requirements and commercial with the C1 zone requirements. It also deals with the per lot fee. So the developer will deposit $465,650 in cash. Utah Summit Partners will deposit $365,650 in cash and issue a promissory note secured by assets that are still to be determined, but they need to be reasonably acceptable to the city. That promissory note will be in the amount of $160,650. And the note will be payable no later than 18 months from the date of the agreement. There has been a little bit of a change from the original attachment, as the original agreement that was attached is Exhibit A, and that is with paragraph 6, the water credits. The number of water credits has been reduced. I think there was some question about how many credits there actually were with the city. This agreement has reduced that amount to 336.12 acre feet of water credits. It specifies parcels that those credits are for, and that basically that'll be, as I understand it, on a first come, first served basis. When those properties are platted, it will go until the credits are used. One that has been added to the version of the agreement that you have is paragraph number 7. This deals with the public facility site. As I said earlier, in the 2006 agreement, there was a parcel that was to be dedicated to the city. That 35 acres was dedicated, and the Second Amendment clarified that it had been dedicated, that the city had filled requirements for that dedication, but it still allowed for a working relationship of sorts with the developer going forward for a period of time. So paragraph 7 simply indicates that section 1 of the agreement, or section 3 of the Second Amendment, including section 4.6.1.4 of the original development agreement, shall survive the expiration of the development agreement. That simply memorializes what was agreed to earlier this year with that Second Amendment. I don't believe there are any other significant changes. There are some changes. One change at the end is with the signator. We have one person signing for Utah Summit Partners instead of 2. So we have a Kevin Anglesey, if I'm saying that right, as manager of Utah Summit Partners LLC, who is signing for that organization, where I believe in the version you have, it had 2 people from different companies, both as members or managers of Utah Summit Partners, who were signing. The intent of this change was to consolidate that into one person who you're dealing with for their interest in this agreement. With that, are there any questions?
I have a question on the $160,000 promissory note, when will we know what that will be to protect that?
By in 2 days, by 5 o'clock on the 3rd, we have to know what that is and have it in place.
Thank you.
If we don't have that in place, we would be calling a special meeting of the council so that you can weigh in on that.
Yes, it is all very time sensitive because the agreement, unless other action is taken to extend it, the agreement expires after the 5th.
Okay.
Now, I think there is regarding the funds that are coming in. Those, it hasn't been determined exactly where those are going to be held. We'd anticipated that it would likely be by an escrow company. We have not, or developer has not located an escrow company that's apparently willing to do that right now on short notice. I don't think it's unreasonable to say we could have those funds and those amounts deposited into the trust account, either Nielsen and Senior's trust account or the trust account of the attorney for the developer, as long as we have those in an account with an understanding that they're going to be released with the execution of the agreement and the expiration of the agreement at the end of the period. Any others?
I don't think so. I think we're okay.
I just want to say how much I appreciate the great working relationship we've had with Mr. Horlocker over the years. Even though this is expiring, we're still anticipating that we will work together on many issues and items in the years ahead. But as the declarant of Summit Ridge, he's been an exceptionally good partner to work with in having our community flourish. So thanks to Mr. Horlocker as well.
I agree.
My pleasure. It's been a pleasure to work with the community, and I'm not going anywhere. Even when the development agreement expires, I'll still be here and still be working with the same team. So I appreciate that very much.
Good. All right. I look for a motion then.
Would you like a recommendation?
Ideally, this would be great if maybe Brett could recommend the motion for someone to so move because of the special consideration of the items that we would want to have in the event that a special meeting would need to be called.
Perfect. Go for it, Brett.
That recommendation would be the motion to approve Resolution 12-01-2020, a resolution approving an agreement regarding the expiration of the Summit Ridge Annexation and Development Agreement with the changes discussed in the form of the agreement that's attached to the resolution as Exhibit A. In other words, this latest version of the agreement would be Exhibit A, and conditioned on the receipt of the funds and security that are described in paragraph 5, and on the city attorney's approval of the security for the promissory note described in paragraph 5B of the agreement.
You done?
Yes.
All right. I look for a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilman Member Montoya. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, Mayor.
Second by Councilman Miller. Any further discussion on this resolution? If not, Councilman Miller,
Aye.
Councilman Meekum,
Aye.
Councilman Hathaway,
Aye.
Councilmember Bowman,
Aye.
and Councilmember Montoya.
Aye.
Thank you. That was unanimous. All
Thank you,
right.
Rob.
Last one. Item 8, Resolution 12-02-2020, OSA Annual Fraud Risk Assessment.
Mayor and Council, we had an extensive discussion regarding our audit and the favorable findings of our auditor for the fiscal year 2019-2020. And part of that is a new requirement by the state auditor for a fraud risk assessment. This was implemented earlier this year, and Santaquin City completed that risk fraud risk assessment, and it was approved by council several months ago. However, for the next fiscal year, it is now before you again. And we are slowly but surely making improvements each and every year to our financial processes. But this is a new form and a new guideline. It's been completed by our finance director, Aaron Shirley, and it goes through and outlines those items that we are doing well, those items that we can improve upon. We are currently at a low risk at a score of 325. And we intend, in one of the directions from the council pursuant to your budget planning session last year, was for us to create an audit committee that'll take us to the very low level. And we intend to do that this year. With that, it is before you for your consideration so that we can submit this to the state by the required December 31st deadline. So resolution 1202, 2020.
Any questions or comments? If not, I look for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 12-02-2020, a resolution approving the required annual fraud risk assessment.
We have a motion by Councilman Miller. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Councilman Hathaway. Any further discussion on this resolution? If not, Councilman Hathaway.
Aye.
Councilman Meekum.
Aye.
Councilman, where are you? We're doing Councilman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Member Bowman
Aye.
and Councilmember Montoya.
Aye.
Thank you. That was unanimous. All right. Reports.
Mayor and Council, I gave quite an extensive report on the status of all of our various projects that we are undertaking and those that are in process and those that have been completed during our work meeting. We were excited to see the lighting of the clock tower and the Christmas tree this past week. That's a great thing for our community. In the days ahead, we'll be having our light parade and continuing to support our residents in the year ahead. But with that said, I will be out of the office tomorrow through December the 9th. And between Norm and Jason Bond, they'll be acting city manager, tag teaming it on the various days that I'll be away. But does the council have any questions for me?
No. Have fun.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Assistant City Manager Norm. Anything to report?
As Ben indicated, he went through a pretty extensive list. He and I coordinated on today. I don't have anything specific to report, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have if you have specific questions on projects or what have you.
Any questions for Norm? Okay. Jason Bond, do you have anything to report?
Yeah, just one thing. The past week or two, we hired a new part-time administrative assistant in the community development department. Her name's Alicia Pugh. We're excited to have her on board, and she started Tuesday last week and still kind of in the training process. Be happy to invite her to a council meeting or on Zoom or something if you're interested in meeting her. But yeah, we're excited to have her on board and have the help to help with all this building and construction that's happening in the community right now. But that's the only thing I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Any questions for Jason?
I have one.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, do you want to go first, Ben?
Nope, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm not sure who all received this email, but I received an email from someone who says that they are a realtor representing a person who wants to move their daycare business to Santaquin, and that when they called community development, they were told that even though the parcel is zoned C1 commercial, that that the zoning only allows a daycare if it's an additional part of a business, but not the primary use of the lot. So I just would like some clarification on that, so that I know how to better respond to this individual who would like to move their business here to Santaquin.
Yeah, so that's all right. The property that they were interested in having a daycare center is zone C1. In our C1 zone, a daycare center is listed as an accessory use. And an accessory use is basically something that accompanies another business. It's not something that's usually standalone. So, that's what the zoning says, and that was kind of an easy answer to give them. I think if they wanted to recommend or propose a zone change, I don't blame them for putting some feelers out there to see if council members are open to that idea to change that zoning so that they can have a better idea of what it would look like if they went through that zoning process. Obviously, nothing's approved until it goes through that process, but that's what they were asking about. The ordinance clearly states that it has to be an accessory use, and so that's why they're inquiring is to get kind of your initial feeling about that particular land use in that zone.
Okay, so I would like the input or opinion of other council members, but I think for me personally, if it's a daycare that's in a residential area, it makes sense to me to have it as an accessory use, like if it's out of someone's home. But if it's in a C1 commercial area, it makes more sense to me that it would be allowed to be the primary use for a standalone in a commercial area. But is this an appropriate time to ask what the others might think?
Well, probably what would be appropriate is there enough interest for the council to have us have the planning commission take it up, put it on a formal agenda so that you can consider it in the future, rather than what do you think? Should we do it or shouldn't we do it? The question is, should we consider it in future meetings? And is there enough interest from the council? And you probably could shake your heads yes or no. And if there is, we would put it on future meetings so that you can formally bring it forward.
Well, and Ben, I would just go one step further and say that this is something that I think the applicant is looking for an idea of if it's worth moving forward or not. I mean, we will facilitate that process for an amendment to be considered, but there's a process. There's a fee to run through that process. So
right,
that's really kind of what I think they're doing is reaching out to council members to say, kind of pitching the idea to you, and you can individually respond and give your feelings, and that'll give them the reassurance that they need to feel comfortable moving forward with that code amendment process. And like Ben said, that starts with a public hearing at the planning commission level, and then eventually
right,
make its way to you. So yeah, in no ways I wouldn't suggest having an in-depth discussion about it tonight, but maybe you can respond on an individual basis and kind of let them know your thoughts and whether or not you support that effort to consider that.
That's more what I was asking, not to make a decision tonight because it's not an agenda item. And so there isn't any action to be taken, but whether or not other council members would support just starting the process of looking at it.
Yeah. I'm seeing thumbs up and heads shaking, so we'll...
Let's check it out.
Okay. I just wanted to bring up too, since Jason mentioned his new staff member, we do have a new community services staff member with Eric Holt, I believe, and he's taken Brian's position. Brian and Cannon have both moved into the Parks Department, which is part of our Public Works Department overall, and Brian and Cannon are doing very well over there. And then we have our new janitor here, Janae. You might see her in the building from time to time at night. She's replaced Alan Lorkey, who served us very well for an extended period of time. Janae's super friendly and nice, and we're glad to have her help us and support us as well. And we've just had a whole lot of new positions and new things coming forward. So we appreciate the council and all of the different hiring panels that you've participated in. So thank you.
Okay, anything else, Jason? All right. Councilman Hathaway, do you have anything to report?
Yeah, I just have one. I had a phone call with Judy today, the senior director. She said they had a really good turnout on their mill. They had 130 people come through. She wanted to tell me to tell you guys to thank John for coming down and helping with those mills, and that there's really nothing they need because of the COVID still. A lot of the seniors would love to get together, but they're kind of telling them no. But they are gearing up they figure there'll be at least 130 to 140 for the Christmas dinner. So
Well,
things are going good there.
good. Thank you, Dave. Councilman Meekum, do you have anything to report?
Yeah, just a report from Public Works. They're just overwhelmingly grateful for our support at this time.
I know what you mean. Thank you. Councilman Member Montoya, anything to report?
Yes, just kind of a heads up when the plans or final approval for the townhomes along Highland Road come to us. Jason, will that come to us after Planning Commission?
Yeah, I will. One of the things that the recommendation was made by the Planning Commission that they need to do first is that they need to have the Architectural Review Committee approve the renderings. We've indicated that council probably is not interested in granting final approval until all the other items are addressed, and the main one that hasn't been addressed is architectural review. So yeah, the city council will be the land use authority on that, and we'll give final approval, or I should say preliminary approval on those townhomes. So yeah, that'll be made to you after they get through ARC.
Okay, that's what I thought. And one of the concerns expressed by Cody Curtis and a couple of other planning commissioners is parking, especially the possibility of having cars park right on Highland Road, because the ground floor facing level of the new row of townhomes, I guess you could say, will be commercial. So it will be business. And there's some concern about parking, and living close to Highland Road, I can understand that because there isn't a shoulder. There isn't a place for cars to park for business. So just making sure when we look at it that we think carefully about the parking, and not only where the residents are going to park, but also where customers for those potential businesses are going to park as well, to not be right on Highland Road. The other thing is that the Santaquin Light Parade is this Saturday, December 5th at 7 p.m. It will run along 100 South from 200 West to Santaquin Elementary. This year, the chamber is not going to have any activities after the parade. Santa is just going to be on one of the fire trucks, and children can write a letter to Santa and deposit it in a mailbox that will be set up. But they're not going to have people going into the school and gathering in crowds and things like that. And they're not going to put Santa at risk of being close to a lot of different people either. But the youth council is going to have a float, and there are several other businesses that are also going to have floats, and Miss Santaquin. And so I hope if you're in town and available, you'll bring your family and bundle up and line up on 100 South to watch the light parade.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. Council Member Bowman, do you have anything to report?
No, but I did think of something as you guys were talking about the additions on Highland. The ones that are there now by Orchard Hills, I've thought a lot about this. I take my kids every day to and from school. And I know we've talked about it in the past, but there are cars already parking on both sides of that road. and on the road that Orchard Hills is on, and it really obstructs the view. Also, it's a hazard. It's really dangerous. So I don't know. I know we've talked about it, but like, what can we do to enforce that, or paint it red so people won't park there? I don't know, but it's a problem. Like I said, I drive to and from there 2 times a day, and it's bad. So, and I only anticipate that it'll get worse as we add stuff on Highland. But what are your guys' thoughts on how we can remedy this?
There actually is red curbing on both sides of the roads there in Orchard Hills. This is something we can probably
not on yes, across from the school, but not the other side. Not that I've seen.
Right, as you come around the corner and you're on 120 South, there's not, and that's I think what Cody Curtis was alluding to, and obviously there's some points there with Highland Drive as well. But in terms of right in front of the school, there's red curbing all over the place, and so if there's problems with that, we can inform the police department of those concerns and see if they can monitor that a little bit closer.
That would help. I know the principal, like, she will literally go out there and after school and ask people to move, but there's residents that just park there and nothing's done. But it's also the other road when you turn going down towards Highland. We need to look at that too, because it's dangerous. And then you have kids now that live there that are trying to run across the street after school. Every day I'm like, this is, in my mind, I just think this is so dangerous. Someone's going to get hit. So we really need to look at that.
We'll look into it.
Okay.
All right. Councilman Miller, do you have anything?
Yep. So police officers, Officer Tipler started a couple weeks ago. Both him and Beckstead, Officer Beckstead, are Chief Hurst expects to have them up and running fully by January 1st. So we'll be 100% full and operational. Rec side, Ben briefly touched on it. Eric Holtz, the new guy, he's doing well. We've had to cancel the last 2 weeks of our flag football because of the snow and the cold. That was obviously affected by the governor's restrictions put on for that couple-week period. Youth volleyball's going on, having practices, games in December. My daughter's playing, she's excited, so it's going to be good. Youth basketball recruitment's going on now. They're going to start practicing in games in December. Obviously, we still have all the COVID restrictions and everything we're working with. Planning on all of our January and February of 2021 programs. They're going to be advertised on the website with a winter brochure. We already talked a little bit about the fitness stuff at the start of the meeting, and I believe John's team's doing well with planning and coordinating and progressing forward. So you have my support, and that's all I got.
Thank you. I have a couple things. First of all, C.S. Lewis needs a bus driver. They've had an emergency situation, and they were willing to train someone, get the CDL license and whatever, if anybody's interested. So, or someone that already has one would be preferred. But if we could put that feeler out, if you know of anybody, let C.S. Lewis know, will you? Second thing, I was able to go visit the 3rd grade classes at Santaquin Elementary a couple weeks ago. And I was very impressed with them. And they all wrote me and the council letters. And so I'll bring them when we see each other in person again. Hopefully I won't lose them by then, but some great young people. And they asked some really good questions. And the teacher at Mrs. Snellgrove, I'll give her a shout out. They'd moved their tables and chairs back around the room, and in the middle of the room, they had built their own city with streets and a river and sewer treatment plant. And it was amazing what they have done. And I thought to myself, I wished I would have had a class like that when I was a kid, that I could have really learned what it was all about that way. So also a question for Brett and Ben, maybe, where are we at in the replacement of Judge Williams? if we can replace it.
Like me to respond to it?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's going to be a months long process. We had a meeting with the people from the court administrator's office, a Zoom meeting last week, and they more or less explained the process. There is a statutory process for that. Judicial nominating committee has to be formed, and there is some question about how that's going to be formed because we have 3 courts in 1 court. There's been some discussion about do each of the entities that are involved want to cooperate in one judicial nominating committee, so they would just increase the membership on that committee, or do they need to have 3 separate committees, one for each of the entities? So that's still being discussed. There's also a discussion on is it time to have an interlocal court? So you've got, rather than 3 separate courts, 1 court that's operating with the 3 municipalities joined in an interlocal agreement. That would be more comprehensive than the interlocal agreements that the city has now with the separate entities. So there's some discussion that way, but it really is a process of now finding out what the entities want to do. And then going ahead, the court administrator's office would advertise for applicants for the position once the nominating committee is formed. And then they take they interview applicants, and that committee will submit at least 3 names to the mayor for approval. The mayor nominates with the advice and consent, basically, of the city council. But it is a process that I wouldn't look for that to be concluded within the next, I think it's going to be 4 to 6 months.
Okay. Well, the reason I asked tonight is I got a phone call from Mayor Staley in Goshen, and there's a Mr. Peters with the state.
Yes.
I received an email from him as well.
Jim Peters.
Yeah, and he's talked this process through with both of us, Mayor Staley in person on the phone, but they would like their input. His Mayor Staley's recommendations that they would like to be involved in the choosing of the mayor or the judge. So
yes.
I think that'd be fine. I let him know that I wouldn't be the one making the choice. It would be the 3 mayors, I think, if it comes down to that. He would say, Mr. Peters suggested a committee of 9 people.
Yes, that would be expanding the committee by 4.
2 from each community.
Yes.
And then 3, maybe even the city attorneys that could be appointed at large to that committee.
Each municipality nominates two members, but those members cannot be elected officials.
Yeah. So they would recommend then 1, 2, 3 people for the mayors to make that decision, right?
They will recommend at least 3. They
Okay.
might recommend more than 3, but they give the mayors, they give the mayor, if we were traditionally, at least 3 choices. The mayor has to select one of those, and then the council would ratify that decision. So in this case, it still could be presenting 3 names to the 3 mayors. If the 3 mayors choose to act as one, which makes a lot more sense to me than putting 3 different committees together.
Yep. Okay, that's all I had. It's just so I told Mayor Staley that it's not going to happen right away. So we'll work on it, and we'll see if we can get a new judge, hopefully within the first few months next year. So
I talked to him this afternoon also. We went
Okay,
over some
good.
of those things, but
Good.
we do have good coverage right now. Judge Dahlquist is stepping in. Also, Judge Probert from, I think she's from Scipio, as a judge in Fillmore, I believe. She's taking some of those responsibilities too. So people really do step up to help, and they're doing a good job.
good. All right. That's all I have. Does anybody else have anything? If not, I look for a motion to adjourn. What was that?
Mr. Mayor, we adjourn.
Well, what's that? What'd you say? We have a motion to adjourn by Councilman Miller. We have a second.
Second.
A second by Councilman Meekum. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
All right, thank you. Any opposed?